Hot dog, I tell ya. One thing I'll just start this off with is be ready in season and out of season. And even if you're not ready, be used. Be ready to be used. Sometimes you're thrown in there, man. You're thrown in there. So as long as you're intentionally trying to build up your spirit, man. Sorry, I just realized my swamp cooler is like really loud. So it might impede on what I'm saying, but just ignore that. I'm like, now that I brought it up. But yeah, no, today was pretty intense, and I still can't even wind down, even though I'm fairly tired, as I always say. But I have to just like tell you what happened. I haven't had this, there's different flows of the Holy Spirit sometimes. Like, you can get into the river of life and you feel His presence and it bubbles up, and you kind of get inebriated or, just engulfed in His love for the most part. But then there's like sometimes like the fire of God, like the fire of Holy Spirit that just burns everything up, and it's really hot and intense, and you can just tell it's like a deep work. Sometimes it comes on you like you feel hot, a literal heat, or like certain parts of your body, or it can be like electrical current where you're just like, you're getting all zapped. But anyways, in the prophetic, like when you release prophetic words, man, it's like what did, I think it was Jeremiah that said, there's a fire within my bones that I have to release. I don't know, whatever, he said something like that. But it's like, or the word within my bones is a fire, and it has to be like released. And I mean, you can feel that in the belly, you can feel that in the spirit, man, where it's just like, I don't know, for me, like when it happened last, it was when I was in my mom's rehab. I was just there to support her. She was doing a rehabilitation, like physical fitness, because she had a heart attack last year. And that was like her fourth heart attack. But she was in recovery with like a group of people and whatever. I would just be on standby and stuff. And they would have like these, well, now I'm trailing off. But they would have these meetings and stuff. And like kind of this new age chick would come in and be like, what do you feel on the inside? What do you see yourself as? Like, do you see yourself as a lion or do? And what's the line inside yourself saying? Which is kind of, that's like a prophetic utterance of truth, but it's not really truth. But anyways, when that came on, it was like that same feeling. And I've done that before, like in, like when I released kind of corporate prophetic words at my first church and stuff, we were able to get up, whatever we felt the Lord was putting on our heart, we could speak in the microphone. But it's been a quick minute, and for me, when it happens, like, I know that there's a stirring going on, and then it turns into like a fire inside me, and then I literally like I'm like this, like I'm actually kind of, well, I'm not really shaking anymore, but I feel like I'm shaking all over, and then my words, like, they'll come out with power and like direct. And whatever it is, the prophetic utterance. But this time it was like a conviction towards like this group of people. And I wasn't even trying to go there, but it came up and it was like shaking and baking right out my mouth. Like darts, like out to them. And in a convicting word, which I usually don't release. But it came on so strong. At first I was just trying to ignore them because I was waiting. I was just trying to chill out. I wanted to get some boneless wings at this place called Wingstop. And I wanted to have, my freaking voodoo fries, which is just sour cream and cheese on some fries. And Cajun freaking seasoning with a nice brew. Like I wanted my white ale freaking Blue Moon, which they didn't have any of. But just a nice beer with my wings and just mind my own business. And so there's this group of 4 people. They're like older folk. You can tell 2 different couples. One's like elderly and then the other's like, whatever, 50s maybe. And they're just like it was like this loud ranting of criticism. At first I was minding my own business, and then it was almost like magnetized, because it was weird, like me, of course that cut off. So me minding my own business was literally like earbuds in my ear, like looking forward to listen to Kat Kerr talking, like her recent freaking video on Facebook. Like I was just like, la 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 la, waiting for my wings. And it was like I could hear through the earbuds, and yeah, I was a little snoopy too, because I'm like, what are they ranting about? And they're like, yeah, she this and she that, and she's freaking just drinking herself into a stupor, and like, when will she get out of it, and do. And then like I heard the key word of like church. It was like, she needs to go to church, and blah 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 blah, and like she'll probably just sit there and she'll cry about it, and d, like just carrying on. And like I was not like even like trying to be like, let's try and have a discussion on that. I was like, oh, okay, like I get it's like some religious hogwash crap where you're gonna just judge someone, you know, when they're having a freaking hard time down and out. And you know, this chick, I heard clearly, it's like she's hitting rock bottom and blah blah blah, but she won't stop drinking and do. And I'm just like, yeah, so why don't you start speaking life about that? You know, that was the only thing I did think. I was like, what the hell's up with that? And then, like, I literally turned away because I just didn't want to hear him anymore. And I was still waiting for my wings. And then that's when, like, the freaking power of Holy Spirit just started bubbling up inside me. And I started hearing, like, in my spirit, man, it was just like, you know, you're to speak life and not death. And then it was like, it's not by the power or by persuasive words, but by the Spirit, because all they were speaking was just like death words, you know. And so like I finally got my food, and as soon as they got up, like that power just came on me where it was like, I gotta release this. And so I'm like, I'm sorry. And I pulled out my earbuds and I go, can I say something? And they just look at me and they're like, sure. But it was almost like this, like you were supposed to say something, because it was like their spirit man, even though it was kind of in this hogwash, you know, religious blah blah, you know, judging everything. It was like, boop, like we need to listen. And so a total attentiveness, all of them crowded around me. I'm on this one freaking table, and you got old man here, old lady here, freaking chick here, or no, the dude here and the other chick here. And so they're completely like sitting there just like waiting to eat my wings. And I'm like, I don't mean to impede or whatever. I don't know exactly what I said. I'm like, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm a believer, and I just felt the Lord wanted me to tell you that it's imperative and important that you speak life and not death in this matter. And I said, you know, you may have your perceptions and judgments on what's going on with this lady, you know, whoever she is. But it's your job to speak life over the situation. I'm like, you declare either life or death into that situation, no matter if you're talking about it or not. And that's what I said. Just direct, well, I don't know exactly like that, but pretty much that was it. And then I said, and one other thing is, he says, it's not by persuasive words that you're going to change her. It's going to be by the power of the Spirit. You know, the Spirit brings conviction, brings awakening. And I said it was only by the Spirit that I awoke, when I was in my drunken stupor, as I have a beer sitting there, and I've been sipping it like, and I seen them, like, even before I said something, they were looking at me sipping my beer, why they were talking about how she's a boozer. And they were judging me too, I could feel that, but, anyways, that doesn't matter, because I didn't even care, but, and then that was it, you know, and I said, nothing's gonna move her out of that, you know. When you're in that place of brokenness and you come to an end of yourself, ultimately there's nowhere else to go but to the Lord. And I said there's a hope there, but there needs to be intentionality to only speaking life in the matter, you know. And I was like, I'm not trying to condemn. I threw that in there. And I was like, but that's just what I felt the Lord saying. I was like, if you want to see an example of that, I've been in that place before. Like, the only way I could tolerate going out socializing was to drink booze all the time. If I didn't have my sack of freaking beers with me everywhere, dude, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And so, anyways, I just kind of threw that out there, and they're just like, oh no, we thank you for that, and we wish you could talk to her, you know, that'd be great. And they said, thank you for the word. And I said, you're welcome. But it was just like even now, I'm still hyped up. I couldn't even eat my wings at that point. I think I had like 2 freaking wings, and I'm staring at my fries, like, and then I'm like trying to type it up on Facebook because I just was like amazed. And then, yeah, now I finished my beer. That was fine. I was like, well, you have to finish your beer before you can leave the facility. But whatever, dude. It was intense. And, you know, this whole day, it was a very frustrating day. And I felt like, you know, whatever, things were not pairing together for the life of me with anything. And at work, it's been a little crazy and hectic and just kind of worn down. And then I found myself just going on a trail earlier and totally got sunburnt too with that. But, you know, and all of it's on a whim. Sometimes you just need to say, you know what, I'm going to step out and do something different. And even in my failures within that, like, it's not like I'm ever perfect with not gossiping or, like, you know, judging situations too. But it was his sovereignty. He's like, I don't even care if you feel a little crappy there and you're like sitting there trying to enjoy your boneless wings, you know. He's like, I'm going to use you right here, and you didn't even expect it. And I totally didn't. And it's just his sovereignty and grace, and it's amazing, man. And so I'm like, let that encourage you. Like, if you feel like you're a screw up for the day and you had a pretty crappy day, he'll probably even use you right in your crappiness, right? Where you're like, I suck so bad. Not like I was completely feeling that way, but it was just, I mean, it's powerful. So, I'm trying to wind down, but whew, when the power gets flowing, you know, and I really think too, you're going to just be used. You're going to be used as stewards of his power. I don't think we realize how much is stored up within us when we feed and when we continually go into that glory realm and we build relationship with him in that intimate place, that there's such a fire that's already kindled within you, and once it's lit, you realize, like, it's been there, you know, just moving into it by faith too, because I could have sat there, and I've done it before where I've held a word and I've regretted it, you know. I held on to like prophetic words that I didn't want to release to people, or I'd question if I heard right. And then, you know, sometimes I'd get the opportunity to, and sometimes I didn't. And, you know, you miss those opportunities, but there's always more to be given. And, you know, it's just moving out in it and then just getting blown away. So that's awesome.